Hello, friends. Welcome back to Nourish My Soul's Mindful Monday. Today, we are only a week and a half away from Christmas, for those of you who celebrate it, which means that the end of the year is coming, and a lot of people are transitioning their thoughts into bringing in the new year, and a lot of people do New Year's resolutions, and that leads to a lot of dieting and lifestyle changes and all that. So, I wanted to spend a little bit of time this Mindful Monday kind of tying together some of the previous weeks that we've talked about and putting a little bit of a different spin on it. So, some of you may remember a few weeks ago we talked about mindful eating, and I gave you some practical tips on how to practice mindful eating and why it's important. If you haven't listened to that, I highly recommend you go back and have a listen to it. And then we also talked about our inner dialogue one week. I don't remember which one came first, but we talked about inner dialogue and how to start practicing finding the good qualities that we have and listing those out each week, and that each of us should be able to name 3 things that we absolutely love about ourselves. If you haven't heard that one, I also recommend you go back and listen to that. In the blog, I'll put specific links in that, so you can head to our website and find those. But this week I wanted to put a little bit of a different spin on that. As we approach the New Year's, I wanted to talk about our relationship with ourself, with our body image and our self-image, which really ties into the mindful eating and the internal dialogue. So while you're thinking about how you want to approach 2021, some of us may be keeping it basic this coming year and just focusing on survival. Other people are going to stick to tradition and try and make some self-improvements. The trap that I see with that is that while we make all these promises to ourselves, we don't actually do the work, the mindful work of looking back and discovering why we have those patterns so that we can make a meaningful change. We just think that we're going to develop new habits. But our old habits established somewhere along the line, and they may have been out of necessity for survival, or they may have been ingrained and taught to us through others in our upbringing. It may be tied to a belief system that we have about ourselves. It may be a poor relationship with ourselves or with our food. We may have some stigma around different food and body image. So this Mindful Monday, I want everyone to kind of take a step back and, I think it's a good thing that we want to improve ourselves every year, but I think a part of that process needs to be examining the how we got where we are, right? Instead of just trying to make the changes that we want, really stop and think about what is the beliefs that brought me to where I am, or how did I establish these patterns to begin with? And start to undo it from that vantage point instead of trying to add more onto yourself and expectations, because I think then it becomes just another thing that we failed at, which then leads to more poor self-esteem and feeling like a failure, and that whole narrative that happens in our heads, and we're each guilty of it. I think even those that have a grandiose idea of self also have those negative self-talks. So I think it's part of being human. So the more we can set ourselves up for success, obviously that's better. I want all of you to succeed. So we need to unpack and undo some of those learned behaviors and understand where they come from. A lot of them are going to come from things that were instilled in us in our childhood, and that takes a lot to undo. So my suggestion for you for this Mindful Monday is to write down just your top, maybe two things. Keep it simple. Your top two things. Maybe you just have one thing that you absolutely know that is going to be your New Year's resolution for 2021. Write it down and take these next couple weeks before the new year to step backwards. And then after you write down what your New Year's resolution is going to be, write down the negative behavior that you're trying to change. So let's say, for me, it seems like almost every year I'm going to become more organized. And so my negative behavior is that I am disorganized. I don't have a regimented routine of organizing my things, my paperwork, whatever it is. So that is my negative behavior, is I don't take the time to establish a working system. And then write down all of the things that have led to that. So for me, it's going to be, I had a very chaotic childhood. And so that kind of feels comfortable to me, even though it drives me crazy because I can't find things. And, I just want to be organized. I want, it settles your brain when you have a neat, organized environment. And I desire that. And yet I think because my childhood was so chaotic and moving around a lot and, all of those things that feed into the chaos, that became my comfort zone and my go-to. So I need to understand that and to allow myself that grace that, yes, this is what I revert back to because it's what I know. It's my comfort zone. It's my childhood upbringing. It's, my inner child feels comforted in this environment because it's what it knows. So then from there, I can start to, with compassion for myself, make the necessary changes. Instead of just getting frustrated with myself that I keep reverting back, I now have some basic understanding of where the behavior stems from. So this takes a lot of mindfulness and self-reflection. You don't just come to understanding those negative behaviors easily. If it was easy, we would all be on top of it. So take this time to really reflect. Hopefully things are quieter this year for the holiday season for you and less chaotic, so you have a little bit of extra time for that self-reflection before the new year starts. And I would love to hear what it is that your focus is, and if you feel comfortable letting us know where it stems from. And let's talk about, some ways that we can help each other overcome those challenges to better meet those desires for 2021 instead of just creating rules for ourselves. Let's come at this from a compassionate and mindful perspective. All right, I hope you guys all have a great week. I look forward to talking to you again tomorrow for our Talk to Me Tuesday. All right, stay safe, everyone. Bye.